You sit down at your desk on a random Wednesday morning. Your laptop is open. It works. It has worked for 4 years. But lately, the fan sounds like a small aircraft preparing for takeoff. The battery dies if you unplug it for more than 40 minutes. And there is this slight delay, just a fraction of a second, between when you click and when something happens. You tell yourself you have been patient. You tell yourself this is not impulsive. This is necessary. This is a tool for your career. Your livelihood depends on this machine. So you open a new tab and you configure the laptop you have been thinking about for months. You select the upgraded processor. You select the extra storage. You tell yourself you will have this for years, so it makes sense to future-proof it. The total comes to $1,800. You hesitate for a moment, then you click purchase. 2 days later, a box arrives. You unbox it slowly. The machine is beautiful, thin, silent, fast. You open the lid and the screen glows and you feel something shift inside your chest. You feel like you have leveled up somehow. You set it on your desk, and then you notice your desk. The surface is scratched. There is a coffee ring you stopped seeing months ago. The drawer is slightly crooked. You never cared before. But now, with this elegant machine sitting on top of it, the desk looks like it belongs in a storage unit. You think about it for a day, maybe 2. Then you order a new desk, a clean one. Walnut finish, minimalist, $240. The desk arrives, you assemble it, you place the laptop on top. It looks incredible, like something from a magazine. But now you notice the chair. The mesh is sagging. The armrest has a tear you covered with tape 2 years ago. It squeaks when you lean back. You cannot sit in this chair anymore. Not at this desk, not in front of this laptop. So you buy a new chair, an ergonomic one. The reviews say it is worth it for your posture. $380. You sit down. You look around. The laptop, the desk, the chair, they form a perfect triangle of productivity. But the rest of the room is chaos. The shelves are cluttered. The lamp is from a college apartment you moved out of 7 years ago. The cables are tangled behind the desk like a nest of dead snakes. You spend the next 2 weeks upgrading a cable management tray, a new lamp, a monitor arm, a desk mat, a plant because the room feels sterile now, a better webcam because you are on video calls and the old one makes you look like you are transmitting from 2008. You do not add it up, you do not want to. But I will. The laptop was $1,800, the desk was $240, the chair was $380, the monitor arm, the lamp, the cable tray, the webcam, the desk mat, the plant and pot. Another $360 scattered across a dozen small purchases that each felt reasonable in isolation. The real total is $3,180. You came for a laptop. You left with an entirely new room. And here is the part that should unsettle you. You did not plan any of this. Each purchase felt like a logical response to a problem that only existed because of the purchase before it. The desk was fine until the laptop arrived. The chair was fine until the desk arrived. The room was fine until everything in it made you feel like you were living below your own standards. This is not a story about you being careless with money. This is a story about a pattern that has quietly shaped human behavior for centuries. A pattern so predictable that a French philosopher documented it in the 1700s after it destroyed his own finances. His name was Denis Diderot. Diderot was not a wealthy man. He was a writer and philosopher, famous in intellectual circles but perpetually short on money. He lived modestly. His home was simple. His possessions were old and worn and practical, and he was content with this. He did not feel poor. He felt free. Then his luck changed. Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia, learned of his financial struggles. She admired his work, so she made him an extraordinary offer. She would buy his personal library for a sum equivalent to roughly $50,000 in today's money, but she would let him keep the books. She simply wanted to support him. Diderot accepted. Overnight, he had more money than he had ever seen. And like anyone would, he decided to reward himself. He bought a beautiful scarlet dressing gown. It was luxurious, elegant, the kind of robe a man of status would wear. He brought it home and put it on and looked at himself in the mirror. He felt, for the first time, like a man of significance. But then he sat down at his writing desk, and something felt wrong. The robe was exquisite, but the desk was scratched and stained with ink. The contrast was unbearable. The desk suddenly looked like an insult to the robe. So he replaced the desk. He bought a beautiful new one, worthy of the gown. But now the chair looked decrepit, so he replaced the chair. And then the rug, and then the curtains, and then the artwork on the walls. Each object he upgraded revealed the inadequacy of the next object. The robe had set a new standard, and everything in his environment was being measured against it. Within months, Diderot had replaced nearly everything he owned. His entire study was transformed, elegant, refined, expensive. And he was broke again. He later wrote an essay about this experience. He titled it, "Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown." In it, he described the strange prison he had built for himself. He wrote, and I am paraphrasing here, that he had once been the master of his old robe. He could wipe his pen on it without worry. He could spill ink on it. It served him. But now, he had become the servant of his new possessions. He was afraid to damage them. He moved carefully in his own home. The things he owned had started to own him. This phenomenon is now called the Diderot Effect. The formal definition is this: the introduction of a new possession into a consumer's life will often trigger a spiral of additional consumption. But here is what that definition misses. This is not about weakness. It is not about stupidity or poor planning. It is about something much deeper. It is about identity. When you buy something that represents a higher version of yourself, you create a gap, a tension. Your environment no longer matches who you believe you are becoming, and that tension is psychologically unbearable. So you resolve it, not by returning the item, not by adjusting your self-image, but by upgrading everything else to match. This is why a single purchase is almost never a single purchase. Let me show you how this operates in the modern world. Imagine someone decides to start running. They have never been a runner before, but they want to change. They want to become someone who is healthy and disciplined and takes care of their body. So they buy a pair of running shoes, good ones, $160. It feels like a commitment, a promise to themselves. The shoes arrive. They are sleek, engineered, professional looking. They look like the shoes of someone who runs. But the rest of the outfit does not match. Old cotton shirts, basketball shorts from a decade ago. It feels wrong to wear these premium shoes with clothing that says the opposite. So they buy running shorts, moisture wicking, fitted, $60. Then a running shirt, then a lightweight jacket for cold mornings, then a fitness watch to track their pace and heart rate, then wireless earbuds because the cord kept bouncing against their chest. The shoes were $160. The full running identity costs $600, maybe more. And here is the part nobody talks about. Many of these people stop running within 2 months, but the gear stays, the closet fills, the credit card statement remembers everything. The purchase was never really about the shoes. It was about becoming someone, and becoming someone, it turns out, is expensive. This pattern does not only apply to consumer goods, it scales. Think about what happens when someone buys a home that stretches their budget. They tour the house and fall in love with it. They tell themselves they will grow into the payments. They sign the papers and move in and feel, for a moment, like they have arrived. But then they look around. Their old furniture looks wrong in these rooms. The couch is too small. The dining table is too casual. The art on the walls feels cheap against the backdrop of this aspirational home. So they upgrade, a new sectional, a proper dining set, curtains that actually fit the windows. Then the neighbors start coming over, and the neighbors have certain expectations. The backyard needs landscaping. The kitchen needs updating. The cars in the driveway need to match the house. What began as a housing purchase becomes a complete life renovation. The mortgage was just the entrance fee. The real cost is the identity maintenance that follows. I have made a video specifically on this topic, make sure to check it out. I have seen this happen with cars. Someone buys a luxury vehicle. Maybe it is their first. They worked hard, they earned it. They tell themselves it is a reward. But the car changes things. They start parking farther away from other cars to avoid door dings. They feel uncomfortable pulling into certain parking lots. They notice their old sunglasses look cheap on the dashboard. Their gym bag looks out of place in the back seat. They start wearing nicer clothes. Not because anyone told them to, but because the car has established a standard, and falling below that standard creates discomfort. The car cost $50,000, but the car also costs new clothes, new accessories, new habits, new restaurants they feel obligated to be seen at, new pressure to maintain an image they never consciously chose. This is the trap. You think you are buying an object, but you are actually buying an anchor, and that anchor drags everything else in your life to its level. Sometimes up, sometimes sideways, but always at a cost. Now here is the part that should genuinely disturb you. This pattern was manageable in Diderot's time. He had to physically visit shops. He had to see objects in person. The friction slowed him down. Today, there is no friction. You buy the laptop, and before it even arrives, the algorithm already knows what comes next. It has studied millions of people who made the same purchase. It knows you will need a case, a stand, a mouse, a keyboard, a bag to carry it in, and it shows you these things before you even realize you want them. You are not shopping. You are being funneled. Every ad is designed to trigger the Diderot effect. Every product page shows you the complete ecosystem. Every lifestyle photo shows you not just the item, but the identity the item belongs to. The couch is never shown in a messy room. It is shown in a perfect room, with perfect lighting, with perfect objects surrounding it, and somewhere in your brain, a comparison is being made. Your room does not look like that. Your life does not look like that. The purchase becomes about closing the gap. But the gap never closes, because the moment you fill it, a new gap appears. The algorithm shows you something else. The standard rises, and you begin again. So what do you do with this knowledge? I am not going to tell you to stop buying things. That is not realistic. And frankly, it is not the point. The point is awareness. The next time you're about to make a purchase, especially a significant one, ask yourself a simple question. What else will this purchase demand from me? Not just money, but energy, maintenance, upgrades, identity shifts, lifestyle adjustments. Because that laptop is not just a laptop. It is a desk, and a chair, and a room, and a version of yourself you will feel pressure to maintain. That new jacket is not just a jacket, it is shoes that match, and a bag that belongs, and places you suddenly feel you should be seen. Every anchor item you introduce into your life sets a new baseline, and everything below that baseline will start to feel inadequate. You do not have to avoid nice things, but you should understand the game you're playing. Diderot understood it too late. He sat in his beautiful, elegant, expensive study, surrounded by objects that matched perfectly, and he was more miserable than he had ever been. He missed his old robe, the one he could wipe his pen on, the one that asked nothing of him. He had traded freedom for coherence, simplicity for status, peace of mind for a room that looked like it belonged to someone important. And in the end, he realized something painful. The room owned him now, not the other way around. Before you make your next purchase, consider what you are really buying. Consider what it will ask of you. Consider the invisible thread that connects that one object to everything else in your life. Because once you pull that thread, the unraveling is almost impossible to stop. Your possessions are not passive. They are making demands you cannot hear. They are shaping decisions you think are your own. The question is not whether you can afford the purchase. The question is whether you can afford everything the purchase will eventually require. Most people never ask that question. Now you will. And that, more than any budgeting app or saving strategy, might be the thing that actually changes your financial life. Not spending less, but understanding why you spend at all.